is a new one. Tastes like good.
Can we have outtakes?
Do the influence. Do the influence. No, you have to do this thing with your hand where, like, you know what, influencers are showing a product.
Not only green with the consumption of the energy, but also by reusing the excess heat, for example, to dry fruits, which is why we're now sitting in this mango cutting site.
And this is something I find so intriguing, the Bitcoin mango.
So I think this is the coolest innovation since Bitcoin.
I want to know about the actual process. Like, what do you guys do? What is this Bitcoin mango? Hello.
Hey,
here we go.
How you doing?
Hello.
Some fresh mangoes ripe for slicing.
Exactly. One of the founders of ReMango, supporting us on this journey.
So in a nutshell, we're a Bitcoin miner doing this with 100% renewable energy, reusing the heat and other excess products to actually make it CO2 negative. And we're organizing it in a new way that is different than classical company structures, but it's also different than the pure online DAO structures that we know from the DAO or MakerDAO or whatever other DAOs. We mined more than 20 Bitcoin so far, and we started only in September last year.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Decoded by Diverse. Today, we're going to be speaking with Sascha Grumbach, the co-founder and CEO of Green Mining DAO. Hi, Sascha. Welcome to Decoded. Thank you so much for joining us today. How are you?
I'm doing well. Hi, Dina. Thank you so much for having me. Excited to be here.
Yes, we're very excited to have you, especially now knowing that you're at the Bitcoin Mango facility. Is that right? So we'll talk about that a bit later.
I'm doing well, just a little bit stressed. Maybe you see the sweat. I'm in Paraguay, 40 degrees. I was on my way to the mining site actually just now, thinking that our podcast only starts in 30 minutes. And I thought I pick up the mangoes here, I go to the site, I put them into the freezer, and then I do the podcast, and then we start drying. But so now I sit here in the office of our actual partner, ReMango, that are producing the cut mangoes for us. So not producing, but actually cutting the picked up mangoes. So I'm in an unusual place. I've never been here before, but I'm happy that we actually make it.
Nah, me too. I'm excited. I want to get a tour of that a bit later. How I like to start these podcasts is, Sascha, I would like to hear about you and your background, how you got into the Web3 world and what you were doing before that.
Sure. Well, I'm just an ordinary guy. I didn't grow up in the crypto space or anything. I have a background in hotel management and business administration, was doing various entrepreneurial ventures since I'm 19, music industry, health tech, travel management, leadership development. We did all sorts of things. I was busy with Argo Ventures, Argo Ventures Studio in Berlin, in which we created various ventures. The concept was build them quick, validate the hypothesis, continue or kill them. And I got into Bitcoin in 2012, buying a couple of hundred Bitcoin back then, first time, not knowing what it was for. I went through various cycles since then. And now when you ask how I got into crypto and Web3, I think it explains it very well. I got into it through Bitcoin, not the other way around. And then after Bitcoin, I got to know all sorts of ERC20 tokens, started to trade a little bit, did some leverage trading, got to know NFTs. We tried to build something, we mined a little bit, did cloud mining. I did all sorts of things over the last couple of years. I think from a consumer perspective, there's not much more that you could try. So after I finished my last venture in 2020, end of 2020, the Argonauts, which was a global leadership community, which we built quite successfully, I decided to focus the next 10 years of my career on building something that can change the financial system in its core, and that's, in my opinion, Bitcoin. And on the core of Bitcoin is Bitcoin mining to stabilize the network, verify transactions, create new units. So I really wanted to get into that, and that's how then I shifted or basically made the leap to say 110% of my time goes into that space. And that's how I got into it. I hope that answers your question a little bit.
Can you then tell us a little bit about Green Mining DAO? By the name alone, it's quite an interesting name, because it kind of gives a bit away. Can you explain what you guys do in layman terms?
Sure, I'll try to make it very simple, taking the name itself. We have Green Mining and DAO. We're basically combining three things. Now, at our core, we're a Bitcoin miner. So we set up and we run Bitcoin mining facilities. And within the name, the green symbolizes that we want to do it sustainably. So for us, it is very important that if Bitcoin is the future of our monetary system, we better do it in a sustainable way, because we do not only have to fix the financial system, but we also have to fix our ecological system and look out for where our environment goes. So our commitment is to do it 100% sustainable, and that's where the green comes from. How do we do it sustainably? We mine, or we power our sites with 100% renewable energy, which right now is solar power. And sorry, not solar power, it's hydropower, but we're looking into solar power and wind energy as well. So yeah, that's the green and the mining. And we're trying to make the green not only green with the consumption of the energy, but also by reusing the excess heat, for example, to dry fruits, which is why we're now sitting in this mango cutting site. And the last portion of the name is DAO. We didn't want to go into this and centralize Bitcoin mining further, which we've seen over the last couple of years already, but we really want to make it a decentralized ecosystem. And our way to do that is to combine legal structure as of Swiss legal entity with DAO concepts, on-chain voting, and so forth. So in a nutshell, we're a Bitcoin miner doing this with 100% renewable energy, reusing the heat and other excess products to actually make it CO2 negative. And we're organizing it in a new way that is different than classical company structures, but it's also different than the pure online DAO structures that we know from the DAO or MakerDAO or whatever other DAOs.
Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. Out of curiosity, from when you started, how many Bitcoins have you already mined today?
So I think this is a good question that also ties in with your first question. The simple answer is we mined more than 20 Bitcoin so far, and we started only in September last year. So the first site that we set up was set up on the 15th of September in 2022, and so we're a little bit more than a year into this. Now, this is being done in our construct, GM Data Centers AG, which is basically the holding company or the main company that has started it all. And our product is to set up new mining facilities that are all tokenized in a separate token that then customers/investors can buy into and become part of that specific mining facility. Now, each of these mining facilities will obviously mine their own amounts of Bitcoin. And we've been now developing over the last year the mining, the drying portion, also the tokenization portion. And now we're planning for Q1 2024 to launch the first site that is fully tokenized and then will mine their own Bitcoin. So it's plus 20 right now for the whole ecosystem. And we will actually have to answer this question for every single site. Because every single site will be their separate entity with separate shareholders and a separate token.
Wow. Out of curiosity, how long does it take to mine one?
Well, that depends heavily on how much hash rate you provide and how big your site is.
With your facility, with the current facility you guys have.
So we had a 600 kilowatt site up and running over the last year. And in the last few months, we would do a little bit more than 1 Bitcoin per month.
Wow, that's really fast.
I hope it could go faster, but that's all a question of hash rate. I mean, we've seen global hash rate increase heavily.
Yeah, because I was under the impression, I was just thinking, because I was under the impression, and I might be wrong here, but I was under the impression it took quite a long time to actually mine the Bitcoin, like a full Bitcoin.
I mean, look, the concept is there's a block every 10 minutes. And with that block, there comes 6.25 Bitcoin currently with the halving in April. And I bet we're going to touch base on that as well. This is going to be cut in half. So the actual production time is less than 10 minutes. Because if you take the 10 minutes divided by the amount of Bitcoin that is being released, there's your actual production time. But that's the global overall hash rate. And now, depending on how much hash rate you're providing or that you're running in the site, that basically then creates the time for you to get a full Bitcoin. But you never really receive that 1 Bitcoin within one transaction, or at least we don't yet because we're too small. Big players may receive like within one transaction 1 Bitcoin. We don't not yet, but we'll get there.
Yeah, well, you're probably the first you are the first Bitcoin mining like individual that I've spoken to. But other than people that I know who are trying to mine it at home is where I was like, that takes them a very long time. So just to hear the difference in the concept of how long it actually takes to mine one is quite impressive. Is very impressive. You touched on the Bitcoin halving, so let's just talk about that. Where do you see the future of Bitcoin?
I'm not sure if you had ever the chance to see me speak on stage at a conference about Bitcoin and the Sustainable Development Goals of the United Nations. There I'm actually looking into this very, very deeply, trying to make a case for how Bitcoin could actually have a positive impact on every single one of the 17 SDGs. I personally believe that Bitcoin is the future of our monetary systems for various reasons. Yeah, limited supply, irrevocable transactions, no single institution, yada, yada, yada. So there's various things that we could dive into to discuss the value of Bitcoin, but I don't think that was the question. The other question, the other way to answer this, basically saying, how do I see it with the halving? The halving is going to cut the supply of Bitcoin into half within a second or within a 10-minute block, basically. And I think what's going to happen is, from a narrative perspective, whenever that happened in the past, people understand the scarcity of Bitcoin even more so, because it's the only asset that we know of in our planet that actually is that scarce. Versus gold and diamonds that we think are so scarce are being artificially held back. Bitcoin actually is by nature and by code with that limited supply. I think the halving is going to show who's swimming naked. Yeah, when the tides go down, and we then see some mining organizations going bankrupt because they have high energy prices, they're over leveraged, or they have bought high priced equipment, which then the depreciation gets them down. So there's all sorts of factors that are important to take into account. And I think the heaviest hit will be taken by retail miners again, either doing it at home, as you mentioned, have cloud mining or hosted mining. And in all of these cases, they have the issue to really get cheap and ideally renewable energy is very tough to do. So very often they overpay for what is possible. Even with hosted and cloud mining, you're very often paying twice the amount of energy price or an equipment price. So long story short, I think we will see many of those that are currently mining at $7.5 per kilowatt hour not be profitable anymore, and not only not be profitable, but probably even be cash flow negative. Yeah, which means earning less Bitcoin and fiat value per month than they actually pay in electricity price. Last year was very tough for miners. We've seen global hash rate increase heavily, which had an impact on the difficulty, which meant with the hash rate that you had, you would actually see a decrease in production over and over. So, for example, we had months where we saw 10% decrease in Bitcoin production outcome various months in a row. Yeah, and that is for a Bitcoin miner not so great to see, because it means you have deployed a lot of capital and then all of a sudden you make less revenue. That only makes sense if, Bitcoin price increases, then you make at least more money in fiat value, but we're after the Bitcoin, right? So our belief is that Bitcoin is the asset. I don't personally think that we'll see a long-term decrease in hash rate, which is on one side a good thing, because hash rate also signals the security of the network, and we are the most secure network on the planet with Bitcoin, and it's good. The more hash rate, the better protected the financial system based on Bitcoin. And I think what we may see is Bitcoin miners deviate into other business models, trying to earn extra money with, as I mentioned, reusing excess heat, which is what we're doing, or combining it with a grid balancing component, which can be seen in Texas already. And I think European countries are more and more getting into that, or at least thinking about it. Yeah, so I think the halving is going to be an exciting, but also probably a painful experience, at least for some participants in the market.
With the DAO aspects, I was hoping maybe if you could tell us a little bit more about that, because I know that essentially opens the doors to anyone who wants to be involved in what you guys are doing. So if you can tell us a little bit about it, like who's involved with the DAO already, and how can people get involved, and what that process looks like.
Okay, so maybe start from the why, as Simon Sinek would say. why we did it as a DAO is, as I mentioned before, I've done some hosted mining and some cloud mining personally and got some experience there. And unfortunately, never really got a good deal. Yeah? The energy price was usually too high. The equipment that I purchased had to be purchased with the host. It was in locations where I didn't even where I couldn't control whether or not it's renewable energy or something else. So long story short, when we decided to get into Bitcoin, and yeah, that's a good question. Who's involved? So when we decided to get into Bitcoin and Bitcoin mining, we tried to come up with a concept that could include retail investors and retail miners into the whole, without us milking them from a economical perspective, but rather becoming partners. So the DAO concept means that we are not selling a product to anyone, but we're actually enabling people to become part of the company, of the shareholders, of the cap table. So whoever joins Green Mining DAO as a member becomes a shareholder of equity in a company, in a Swiss-based entity. So right now we have one entity. We're in Switzerland, and we have about 21 shareholders. And yeah, that's not on purpose. Yeah, even though 21 million Bitcoin and it's not on purpose. That's what it turned out to be. And these are entrepreneurs, musicians, artists, politically engaged individuals, two funds with a focus on innovative technology, and also one in the Bitcoin space. And these are all people that believe that Bitcoin has a future in our financial system, that it needs to be done green and sustainable, and that believe that it's about making the sourcing of Bitcoin more fair and more evenly distributed amongst overall society, to also have a positive impact potentially on redistributing wealth. Now, we all got together as founding members of the DAO. All of them hold shares in the company, as I mentioned, and these shares are represented by tokens currently on Polygon. Yeah? So our token GMT is currently on Polygon, and it represents one share in the company. So this comes also with voting power. It comes with profit distribution rights, and everything that a Swiss shareholder could actually enjoy as security. And I just talked to one of our new investors this morning, and we discussed, or he asked again why actually we went to Switzerland and didn't do it in the British Virgin Islands or other places where you could also tokenize shares. And the clear answer is for shareholder protection. Switzerland is probably the most secure place for shareholders to actually be protected by law, and that's what we were after. So build a structure where shareholders cannot be screwed over, but actually be protected by Swiss law. Now,
can I jump in with a question before?
Sure.
Yes. So you mentioned that this also that with the shareholders and anyone who basically invests in the token becomes a shareholder with the voting rights and everything. So you mentioned the profits. How do they take their profits?
Very simple. All of our investors gave us a ERC20 wallet address and a Bitcoin wallet address. And they received to the ERC20 wallet, they received the GMT token, which is a representation of the shares that they own in the company. And on the Bitcoin wallet, they received the Bitcoin payouts, which we paid out twice already after the first 6 months of operation. And that's how they receive real Bitcoin. No rep BTC or anything, they receive real Bitcoin, and it's 2 addresses. So the ideal scenario would be that we had a token that is tokenized on Bitcoin, BRC20 or RGB or Liquid or anything that is Bitcoin native, so that they would only need 1 Bitcoin address. The big issue though is they currently only, like in these networks, there's very low amounts of liquidity. So we decided to go for ERC20 because there's more developers, more liquidity, and it gave us a better head start to start with. Now, that being said, this is all in the founding and core member collective, right? So we've now are in the finalization of our second financing round, where we accept core members. So we have these memberships basically, and these core members that are coming on board are the last group to join the GM Data Centers AG, which is basically the initiator of all of these projects. Now, when you ask how can people join the DAO and what are their rights and what can they do and how do they receive Bitcoin, we're right now in the finalization of LOIs for our new site. It's going to be a 4 to 6 megawatt site that produces Bitcoin, but also produces dried fruits. And this site will be launched or the financing for that will be launched in Q1 next year, which basically means we're right now accepting applications from people that would like to join as DAO members, that would like to produce Bitcoin at production cost, receive kind of a 20% or 10 to 20% dividend per year in Bitcoin to their wallet, and also do that in a decentralized way. We're accepting applications. And then we basically go through a thorough process in which we have a call with them. They have to answer some specific questions. There's also documents that they have to screen because we do not want to accept everyone, because eventually you're a shareholder with them. Yeah, so you're not just in a, I don't know, you're not just holding a utility token, but you have to share equity tokens and actual cap table with them. So you better get along and you better have the same vision. And we also know that this is not just buying a pair of shoes, but you're actually buying a bigger ticket product, or bigger ticket commitment. And therefore, we also want to make sure that people really understand what they're getting themselves into. And if people are accepted to that, and this is going to be a 4 to 6 megawatt site, as I mentioned, so investment volume of maximum 6 million is what we're doing in kind of a private investment round. So it's not an open public round where everyone could join. It's private, and basically we filter the people, we get in touch with them, and if they're accepted, they can invest either with on-chain assets, USDT, Bitcoin, Ethereum, whatever, or with even a fiat transaction, bank account transaction. And then basically for that investment, they receive tokens that again are a representation of the company shares. They're not going to be the GMT tokens, because GMT represents the GM Data Centers AG, which is kind of the initiator, but they will receive a token that is not yet, like the name is not yet disclosed, but they will receive that token that represents a Swiss-based entity that owns the data center that we're mining in. Yeah.
I have another question. So you were mentioning, so there's going to be a different token. So with each of the facilities that you guys are planning to build, are you going to be launching a token specifically that will represent equity for that one facility?
Correct.
Is there ever an opportunity for an individual, an investor, to actually own in like a parent company where essentially they can take it from all of the different facilities?
So that's the GMT token, and our concept is again that we do everything at cost, so we don't add anything to the electricity price, operations price, or whatever, or the miner's price, but we do everything at cost, and therefore we keep 20% of the equity of the site. So basically, with this concept, every new investor into a co-mining facility, which we're starting in Q1, and us as GMT token holders are always aligned in interest. And So there is an opportunity to buy into that on the secondary market. So we're planning to launch the secondary market tradability in next year. Once we're basically done with the financing rounds in the parent company, if you want to call it so, there is an opportunity to join via secondary market. But as of now, we wanted to do a public sale. That was the first original idea. But then we figured that if you do continuous investments into a company that just increases in value, you have a dilution of existing shareholders, and you have new shareholders buying in at a valuation that is much higher. So it was very hard for us to create a fair model in which everyone actually wins. And we found that it was the better idea to do that for a new site, new token, no extra cost. Everyone goes in clean and fresh. And that's why we decided to go down that route. And but to answer the question, if shareholders of the current cap table want to exit their tokens and thereby their shares, that will be possible. So we're launching a platform on which tradability of every single token of each site and also our parent company is possible. Yes.
what was your initial motivation to building Green Mining DAO?
I truly believe in Bitcoin, yeah. And I think that Bitcoin is the future of our monetary system. I think that with current level of inflation, we do see negative impact on society. It increases poverty, hunger issues, having negative impact on the food price index. I'm very entrepreneurial in the sense of I love to put myself into challenges that no one has solved before, and trying to find a solution for that. And if they have a positive impact on our society, that is a plus. For the last two ventures, it really was one of the main drivers, that we cannot be about just earning money, because if we're just about that, there's many other ways, like selling shoes online or doing all sorts of things that are consumptional and recreational. But what that does on our society and planet has a negative impact. I think that's very I always think it's very clear to see what it does to eat fast food all day and to produce Coca-Cola and to push out products that no one actually needs. And I think the reason why I wanted to do this, I really wanted to work on Bitcoin. And I truly believe Bitcoin is a solution for many challenges that we currently see. And if Bitcoin in 50, 100, or how many ever years it will take to become a standard for our financial system, I think at that point in time, everyone should have their printer at home instead of at the ECB or the Fed. Imagine everyone has parts in the network of Bitcoin and receiving fresh minted and fresh mined Bitcoin into their wallet on a regular basis. Does that answer your question? I probably deviated in all sorts of directions, though.
You definitely did deviate, but yes, basically it kind of does answer the question. I mean, it just shows it's a passion for you. Like, it's essentially what it is. You're passionate about Bitcoin. You're passionate about what you believe it can bring to the table and to society, and the changes that it can make and the future that it can give us.
I think maybe one thing to add to this is really, this is like, as Bitcoiners, we often say this is a silent revolution. No one puts this upon you. It's something that happens and you either take it on and run with it or you don't. And what I find so fascinating is this, in my opinion, is the ultimate idea of a DAO concept. And I also think this is one of the reasons why we're like developing quite well and why we have so much support from all different directions, because we are able to bring people to one table. So my two co-founders, Valentine and Chris, they have just the same belief system that I have, but come from a different perspective. Yeah, Chris is much more from the financial perspective, financial world, and also from the trading. He's an OG miner since 2012. Valentine is coming very much from the community perspective, from the leadership and organizational change perspective. And we're bringing together like so many like different points of views, and we're able to discuss them and find the best solutions. And that happens on every single level and layer, from the DAO members that are all getting involved on a regular basis. So it's not like we have a shareholder call every year, but we have a general meeting every single quarter. I'm talking with DAO members every single week. We have a Telegram and other groups in which everyone is being active and posting updates, photos, and news on a nearly daily basis. So in that creation together as a group, as a community, I think that's also one of the main drivers, because it feels like not one individual is saying this is the direction, but we're all having part in that. And it's just very, very inspiring and motivating.
That's good. That makes sense, though, because everyone obviously comes from a different background as well, and you all have your different motivations, which is good. I mean, it does help a lot. Can you tell me a little bit? I know you touched on this already, but this is something I find so intriguing. The Bitcoin Mango. I want to know about the actual process. Like, what do you guys do? What is this Bitcoin Mango?
So I think this is the coolest innovation since Bitcoin. We're in an area, in a country where almost everyone has a mango tree in their garden. It was planted in Paraguay because people needed shade. So it was not planted for harvesting reasons necessarily. And if you walk through Asunción and also parts around Asunción towards the south, or drive there, you see mango trees everywhere. And the interesting thing is that Paraguay has a mango that's called the Paraguayan mango, which is smaller than other mangoes. It is sweeter. It's the sweetest, supposedly the sweetest mango on the planet. It has supposedly the highest fiber in it on the planet. And yet no one is exporting this to the world. So yet I didn't know about it before I actually came here. Now in Paraguay, people don't see it necessarily as an asset and don't really see it as something that is, they don't even eat it. They don't, like many people that I spoke to didn't even like eating mangoes. And who doesn't like eating mangoes? Yeah, it's like, it's the
I was
sweetest,
just thinking that would be so delicious.
right?
I was trying to think, I'm like, what do I find? Like in the in imported mangoes, there's always the Peruvian mango, and they're quite expensive. So I can imagine how cheap it must be like in Paraguay, and however you pronounced it.
Yeah, I'm trying to get my Spanish Paraguayan mango. But look, it's actually not only about it being cheap, but the point is the mangoes are falling down the trees, they're rotting. I actually this morning took a picture of a soccer field on which there was mangoes. I'm not sure if I can show that, if you can actually see it in the camera, but I'll try.
Do the influence. Do the influence. No, you have to do this thing with your hand where, like, you know what, influencers are showing a product.
I don't know how to do that. I'm not an influencer really.
Neither am I, but like I just know it because it's all over the feed where they're showing you, like, let me just give you an example. This is a vape.
So
and then they hide it like that because of the blur effect, because it blurs the background. Show us.
Okay, well now I did the thing away. So this is a soccer or like sports place, right? Right on the streets, and you see all these mangoes. They're rotting, and you cannot even imagine the smell. And this is just one example out of many. So what is happening? They are they're since there's no interest in them, nor is the infrastructure, nor is the export. They're rotting. And there's a very, very cool company called ReMango in Paraguay. They have actually been finalists in the Halt Prize, I think 1 or 2 years ago. And they are helping to clean up the city, picking up these mangoes. And we're partnering with them to get these mangoes and picking them up, washing them, disinfecting them, cutting them, freezing them, and then basically they go to our site. And what we do there is we have the site, and we also have a drying oven, and we have connected these processes of mining Bitcoin, and then the excess heat that is leaving the place between 50 and 60, sometimes a little bit more degree. We're taking that heat, and then actually goes into our drying oven, and there's some secret sauce to the drying oven as well. And then basically we dry the mangoes there. And now this has been like, there was some tests going on before, but in our old site, we were not able to do it yet. And the coolest thing, and that's also why maybe there's some side noise and why I'm looking sweaty and, I'm sitting in this dark room here. We just yesterday, which was the 15th of November, we finished our new site, Green Mine 2. And we're planning to electrify it, energize it just today. So I'm in between picking up the mangoes, going to the site, and hopefully seeing energy flowing in. And we will actually, as of today, dry the first batch of mangoes. And if they let me, I will carry on the first 1, 2, 3 kilograms of dried mangoes on a plane to Europe. Then after this is being done.
And then you will also be shipping some to Dubai, right?
Of course, Dina, I will definitely ship you some sweet mangoes. No, but yeah, that's the process. And again, like we're not yet, I mean, we're developing so many things on the fly and creating so much new stuff. I'm not coming from the fruit industry. And we have partners.
But I do. Sorry, just a quick thing.
Yes.
So with these mangoes that you guys are drying out and you're packaging, are you going to be selling these as well?
We're launching the Bitcoin Mango brand, which is basically the coolest innovation since Bitcoin. It's 100% organic, 100% from Bitcoin miners dried. And we're aiming to sell them from December on. So basically, we're right now in parallel working on the infrastructure with the
December this year.
Yes, December this year. Yes, it's all happening. Dina, if you don't have a Christmas present yet for your friends and families, you can go to our website.
I will do it.
And I think from the 1st of December or something on, you will be able to do pre-orders. I think if you go to the articles and news section now, there should be a page on which you can sign up to just be informed when the first batch is being released, because we don't expect the first batch to be on the shelf for long. We'll definitely take the first batch and send to our shareholders that they are definitely getting some sweet mangoes as a Christmas present for support, some nice swag, and then
is that the swag? Can you come closer?
Yes, I can. Here we go.
That's a very tiny logo.
Well, you know what? You know, the secret is, if you walk around conferences, you see all these people with big Bitcoin signs or Matic or whatever else. I'm not a fan. We're not a fan of that.
Okay, well, you don't need to hate on it, yeah, because our t-shirts.
No, I don't want to hate. No. I don't want to hate. No, they have their right for existence. But what we're seeing is, imagine me with a zip hoodie, and we meet and we have a conversation. I just open my zipper until here, and then you see the nice little logo shining out,
like Superman, yeah.
Yeah, so like I mean, Bitcoin man.
Like Bitcoin man. Yeah. No, it is really cool. I quite like it.
On a new version, it says block and roll in the back. I think I still have an old version, but there's a little block and roll. So we're just trying to, design. We try to design something cool that is understatement, but still is a conversation starter. So yeah, but
that's quite cool.
Obviously, there's different likes and different types of liking things.
No, I like it. I like it. No, ours is quite nice. I'm a fan of ours. It's big, but it's got like a color. It's not just like a black and white. I'm joking. Nice. No, it's
maybe you need to send me one in exchange. Yeah, you get some mangoes.
I don't mind. I want the shirt as well, actually. But we'll talk about it.
The coolest thing is we have actual female shirts. So we do not only do the male shirts, but we also have the female shirts, which have a very nice cut.
Just before we go, there's 2 things I need from you. So firstly, and you can decide in which order you'd want to do this. So I want to see if you can actually show us the facility that you're in. That's number 1. And number 2, I want to know like what your plans are over the next 5 years in terms of how many facilities you want to open up, more Bitcoin fruit. What are you guys planning? So you can choose. I'm giving you 2 questions that I need answers to. You can pick the order.
Yeah, why don't I start with the 5 years question, and then I, as a big finito, show you some cutting action.
Excellent idea.
So, I mean, our goal is to get to 100 megawatt here in Paraguay over the next 5 years, and to be represented in another 5 countries, at least with an additional size, which we'll see where this goes. And if you ask me in 5 years, or if we meet in 5 years again, I think we have the potential to be the most lucrative and decentralized option for retail investors to get into Bitcoin mining on the planet. And why? Because of the before said USPs that we're combining: real ownership, regular payouts, decrease in Bitcoin price by adding additional revenue streams, yada yada yada. So that's where I see us in 5 years, and I think Bitcoin hopefully has been in the hand of not only 1% of society, but maybe 5. So that's my hope. Maybe we're further, but that's kind of what I hope and think is realistic. All right, now let me walk you. I'm with my computer. I have to bring my phone because I'm on Wi-Fi of my phone. And please be aware, I'm not in the Bitcoin mining side. Yeah, I'm in the side of our partners, ReMango, in which we get from where we get the cut mangoes. So you won't see any Bitcoin miners. I have to find a way to. I think it's this direction. But you may, if you were smelling, you could actually smell the mangoes here. It's really fresh and it smells really nice.
Sascha, please show us around this wonderful facility where you guys are doing these mangoes.
Some of the mangoes. I think what is very important is, as we discussed, these mangoes are not necessarily all super fresh, but because they're being picked up, we have to select and decide which ones are going to be to be used. And you see one of the main characters here, one of the co-founders of ReMango.
Hi. Like Sascha saying, my name is Gonzalo. I'm one of the co-founders of ReMango. So we process mango here in Paraguay. It's a big problem. Part of these mangoes go directly to processing. So some of them that may seem, I wouldn't say as fresh, but maybe they have some spots or whatnot. That's no problem for us. But for the sliced mango that we're going to work with Sascha. We're going to use, really ripe, nice mangoes. So, yeah.
And are these mangoes selected manually?
Yeah, all of them are
Handpicked.
selected manually. So we work with collectors that go. So basically, we have trees, like urban trees, all around the country. Basically, it's really a big problem, and they just go to waste. So we work with collectors. We give them an income opportunity for them to collect the mangoes, bring them here. We pay them for their work. Then we basically select the ones that are ripe for slicing, the ones that are ripe for directly go to processing, and we're working on a variety of different products as we speak.
Nice.
Thank you very
Thank you
much.
so much. So you see, this is all really, really like, and again, this is all spontaneous. Yeah, nothing of this was planned to be done because I just did this on accident. All right, I'm going back.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much, Sascha. I don't want to keep you too long. I know you've got quite a lot of work to do. The facility looks amazing. So thank you so much for sharing that with us. It was very nice. It was a good experience. I felt like I was there. I could smell the mangoes from here.
Yeah, that's good. Thank you for the time and thank you for your interest. I'll definitely make sure to ship you some mangoes.
Yes, please. I'm going to hold you to that.
Definitely want to thank our whole team for creating what we've been creating now for not much more than 1.5 years. Yeah, the company was founded on the 22nd of February 22, and that's since when we've built the whole construct, the partnerships, the drying, and I'm just enormously thankful for everyone that is participating in it, that is believing in the cause, and that is part of this journey. It's hell of a ride. It's super fun, and I think we're onto something. So, not much more to say than that.
Oh, that was beautiful. Thank you, Sascha, very much. Hi, everyone. Oh, no. Bye, everyone. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please stay tuned for more on Decoded. Where are you? I've done it now. It's over.
Can you do one more outro, please?
I did that, no? Oh, God. So annoying. So controlling and demanding. What are you? Oof. And let us know who you want us to speak to next. There's no guarantee we'll be able to get them, but we can always reach out. I'm your host, Dina Matar. Thank you. Bye-bye. Yay. Okay, bye-bye.
Well done, Dina. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.